Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I wanted to give my take on microtransactions and monetization in Destiny 2. It's everybody's favorite subject, but I think there's been a big uproar in the community lately that was sparked by Aztec Cross's recent video. He did a good job of kind of explaining the monetization and all that kind of stuff, but there's certain things that I absolutely disagree with him on, and I think all of it is kind of blown out of proportion because we are in the middle of the summer. Everyone is kind of getting stale on Destiny, which happens every single year. I have tweets from 2022, 2021, 2020, all kind of talking about how the hot takes come flowing out once the summer hits in Destiny 2 and everyone gets a bit bored. People are comparing it to other games, and I just feel like there's some rational thought that needs to be put into this and understanding of not only the fact that games have gotten more expensive to produce, we're looking at the cost of living and inflation all rising across the world, and because of that, we're going to see prices increase on things. That's just the normal way of things. And I think to get upset about it is understandable, but also you need to be realistic in how you look at things overall. So taking a step back and being a day one D1 player, I played all the expansions, all the seasons of Destiny 2. I know that the new player experience is not great, and purchasing everything all at once as a brand new player is probably not the best idea. I do think they need to consolidate a lot of the ways to buy things. But let me just put things in perspective a little bit. So, first and foremost, the Destiny 2 Lightfall plus the annual pass, which includes the season passes for the entire year, as well as the dungeon key. That is less expensive for the total year than a subscription every month to something like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV. So, in the scheme of things, just for the content that you want to play during the year, it's less expensive than other MMOs. Now, the reason they don't go subscription in Destiny 2 is got a much bigger casual player base. You got a lot of people who dip in, dip out, but the concurrents this season are normal, even a bit higher than we've seen in the summer traditionally in Destiny 2. So you have a lot of these players who, despite the uproar in the community, are still coming in and out of the game. And so because of that, they want to encourage that as much as possible. That's why they don't have the subscription, in my opinion. Although going to a subscription model might make sense for their monetization in the grand scheme of things. But even in games that have those subscriptions, you still have microtransactions. If you look at battle royales don't provide the same level of content that Destiny 2 does. It doesn't have dungeons and new weapons to earn with different roles, and it doesn't have armor and transmog and all this kind of stuff. It's only got skins and then weapons, your base weapons. So you look at something like Fortnite, Warzone, Apex, all of those games, which have more expensive cosmetics traditionally than Destiny 2, and yet they don't have to interact with each other in the same way because it's not like an MMO light like Destiny 2 is. And so it's kind of finds itself, because it's a game that used to be paid fully and then eventually went free to play, it's in a weird kind of half space that it's got these various microtransaction and monetization features that are a bit like the battle royales and a bit like the MMOs, but really don't match up either way. That being said, when you compare them, it's not anything egregious when you look at the total price and what you're able to earn in game. For example, the armor ornaments, the weapon exotic ornaments, the shaders, all that stuff. There's a lot of those that are earnable in game. Some seasons, this season specifically, we had more that was available for Bright Dust only. And if you don't want them, don't buy them. I understand that completely, but I don't think it really changes much of anything. I don't think it's a big deal if they do have some shaders or some ornaments available for specifically silver, especially the crossover ones. This is one I would say I don't have a problem with whatsoever. And again, at 2,000 silver, basically $20, it's still cheaper than you might see in something like Warzone, for example. Those bundles are like $24, you know? So I think it's a bit different there. I do think I understand why this is available for silver only. Same thing with this. Whereas these ones, I've earned all of these from Bright Dust only. I could buy the rest if I wanted to for silver, but as they come around, I just buy what I can. I have bought a lot of shaders. There's all these available, even this season. So one of the major things this season people talked about was the reskins, right? But they added the taken effects to some of the reskins, to half of them, which I think look really cool and are a very unique way to use older assets. They changed the weapons around as far as the energy types and all that kind of good stuff, and they are usable with these old ornaments that I earned. So as somebody who doesn't need to spend Bright Dust on those, the fact that, because I already had them from the past, the fact that I'm able to use those old ornaments is very, very nice for me personally. But you see, I have like all of these different shaders here and whatnot. Like I don't think them charging silver for cosmetics is that big a deal. Like, yes, they could probably do a little bit better job, but I don't think at the end of the day it's a major deal for them to charge for some of these things when it's going to additionally monetize the game. And they produce content, whether you like to admit it or not. You may think the seasons are not worth it. That's fine. You don't have to pay for them. But there are very few other games that produce content at the rate that Destiny 2 does. It's just a fact. And so you look at the content that they do produce season after season, maybe it's gotten stale, the model. Maybe they need to take a break in order to produce some more innovative content. And I've talked about that in videos in the past, but at the end of the day, like, people continue to log in every day and play the game, every week and play the game. And if they're going to do that, then Bungie has to keep providing the content. And so in order to do that, in order to keep the game flowing, they're going to need to monetize a lot of the game as well. Now, there's one place where I absolutely agree with people being frustrated. The increase to the season pass to 1,200 silver. And the only reason I understand that is because there is not a bundle for 1,200 silver that you can buy flat out, right? You can't buy the season flat out for $12. If you could do that, I think that would be fine. But that's one change that I honestly hope they make going forward. Other than that, I think some of the different stances I see are so overblown. As a day one player, as a longtime Destiny player, I have most everything I could possibly want in the game. We have transmog in the game. They don't get any credit, Bungie, for overhauling systems pretty consistently. The 3.0 subclass system, the transmog system. Next season, we're getting in-game LFG. So there's a lot of these systems that are paid for by this stuff that don't get counted when people are looking at, okay, I am buying microtransactions. Where's that money going towards? It's going towards innovating and kind of trying to make these systems that a lot of players in the community have requested, and they don't get any kind of congratulations when these systems go live. So you can look at the Guardian ranks. That's something that has streamlined things for new players. That was absolutely needed. That's an entire system they put in the game. You look at new modes for PvP. Again, PvP is technically free to play. And so everything that they do with that, that's probably why it's a bit neglected at times, to be honest. But that's a big part of why they have these monetization features in the game right now, is because it goes towards a lot of those free-to-play systems that we have in the game. And again, I would pay extra money if I knew that PvP or Gambit or Strikes were getting overhauled, to be honest. But there's no guarantee of that, so that's why I really don't buy a lot of the stuff. I spend most of my Bright Dust, and that's about it. But again, I think by and large, the complaints about the monetization of Destiny 2 are overblown. Even if you look at the seasonal events that happen, now you get those are all cosmetics. You don't have to buy any of that stuff. And honestly, it's fine if that's the way. Like, the earnable stuff that we have in the game is always going to be weapons, armor sets, some you'll see like some ghost shells and stuff like that. Like Trials has new ones, and all of that will continue to be in the game. You can get a lot of it will come up later for Bright Dust as well. Some of it's going to be for silver, and I think that's fine. Otherwise, I just don't see how they would. Like, I don't see any of these changes being that egregious, and I think people blow them way out of proportion, in my personal opinion. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me on this topic. I know everyone's going to be like, well, this is Destiny is farming us for all the money that whatever the case may be. I disagree. That's just my honest opinion. I think Bungie's a massive studio. They have a lot of people working on the game. The game has had its issues. I do think there's a lot of reasons to be frustrated with the game. And I just think in general, the monetization of the game is fine. Like, it is what it is. If you're a new player, again, it can get confusing. I do hope they streamline that. I hope they fix the season so you can purchase it directly. But other than that, I think everyone needs to take a step back, take a breath, look at all their games that are around, and understand that making these games is a very expensive proposition. And it's not really a reason to be fully frustrated all the time, in my personal opinion. That's just where I stand on it. I think I don't really spend a lot of money on the game outside of the standard expansion plus the annual pass. So if you do, maybe rethink that. Maybe understand that that's just not for you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. I know this one's going to be a little more controversial, but subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me. My name is JoPa. I hope you have a good one. I'll catch you all later.